And now, Andrew Does Everything proudly presents Cinderella, based on the story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. Cinderella had 5 ugly, mean stepsisters named Tasha, Hannah, Rena, and the twins Ellie and Emmy. Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Esme made Cinderella do all the chores. Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all, said Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Emmy all together. One day, the king of Tripleville's messenger said, Hear ye, the king of Tripleville is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Stripling. But Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are... Tasha said, He's going to marry me. Hannah said, No way, Tasha. He's going to marry me. Rena said, Both of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. Ellie said, All 3 of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. Emmy said, Are you kidding, sister? He's going to marry me. Later, Cinderella is so sad because she cannot go to the ball. Suddenly, Cinderella's fairy godmother asks what's wrong. Why are you crying, Cinderella? She asks. Cinderella responds, I can't go to the ball and marry Prince Stripling. The fairy godmother said, I can help with a bit of magic. She waved her magic wand and chanted the magic word. Triply, trappily, triply, true. And then Cinderella's chores are all done, but the fairy godmother said, She's not done. He then said, Cinderella, go fetch me a good old pumpkin. Luckily, Cinderella has 3 pumpkins. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand and chanted the magic word, Triply, trappily, troppily, true. And then the 3 pumpkins turned into a handsome coach drawn by 6 strong horses. And then Cinderella's do-rag and red dress turned into a gown and crown. Cinderella said, I've never seen such a triple-tastic crown and gown. And get a load of my glass slippers. The fairy godmother said, Have fun, Cinderella, but I would warn you. Return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken. Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince Stripling was wondering who he should marry. Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, and Emmy say all together, He's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. But he's walking towards Cinderella. Cinderella and Prince Stripling dance together. But later, Cinderella realized it's almost midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she's running so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers. Prince Stripling was so worried. He afraid that he might never see Cinderella again. So he traveled around Tripleville to find her and brought the tiny glass slipper with him. He knocked on the door of the house where Cinderella and her ugly, mean stepsisters lived. Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can you try on this glass slipper? Tasha first. Hannah second. Rena third, and the twins last, but none of their feet fit. Suddenly, Prince Stripling noticed Cinderella singing. She exclaimed, Prince Stripling, is that you? Prince Stripling said, Of course it's me. Friela gets so excited because she's happy to have Prince Tripling back. And he doesn't need to put on the glass slipper back on Friela's foot because it's so uncomfortable. And they both live happily ever after. The end. And now, Anna Does Everything proudly presents Cinderella. It is based on the story of Cinderella. What? Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. Cinderella had 4 ugly, mean stepsisters named Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona made Cinderella do all the chores. Sweep the floors. Wash the dishes. Do it all. Said Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona all together. One day, the king of Quadrillion Hand's messengers said, Hear ye! Hear ye! The king of Quadrillion Hand is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince 14. But Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. He's going to marry me, said Fiona. Ophelia said, No way, Fiona! He's going to marry me. Ursula said, Both of you are wrong! He's going to marry me. Ramona said, All 3 of you are wrong! He's going to marry me. Later, Cinderella is so sad because she can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14, while her fairy godmother asks her what's wrong by saying, Why are you crying, Cinderella? Cinderella responds, I got lots of chores to be done. I can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, I can help with a bit of magic. Cinderella's fairy godmother chants the magic words. Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo! And waves her magic wand. Because of that, all of Cinderella's chores are all done. But Cinderella's fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, Cinderella, go fetch me a pumpkin. Luckily, Cinderella has 4 pumpkins. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, and then chants the magic words. Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo, and waves her magic wand to turn the 4 pumpkins into a handsome coach drawn by 8 strong horses. And then, Cinderella's closer to a gathered crowd. Cinderella said, I've never seen such a quad-tastic gown. And get a lot of my glass slippers, her fairy godmother said. Have fun, mighty Cinderella. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will turn back to the way it was before. Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince 14 was wondering who he should marry. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona said all together, He's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards Cinderella. Cinderella and Prince 14 dance happily together. But later, Cinderella realizes something is midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she was running so fast that she lost both her glass slippers. Prince 14 was so worried that he might never see Cinderella again. So she So he traveled all around Quadrupling to find her. But the two tiny glass slippers with him. He knocked on the door of the home where Forella and her stepsisters live. But instead of Forella, he finds Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. He then said, "Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can you try on these glass slippers? Fiona is first, but her feet are too big." Ophelia said, "But her feet are too small." Ursula and Ramona did the same thing, but their feet don't fit either. Suddenly, Prince 14 notices Swarla's sweet singing. "The glass slippers fit!" Forella gets so excited because she's happy to have her Prince 14 back. And they both lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. And if you want to see some sequels, tell your friends about it. And then, take care, Andrew's Doers. Bye. Andrew's Doers. Andrew Does Everything proudly presents 33rella for the 3,300 episode special. As the title suggests, it is based on the story of Cinderella with a bit of a twist. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there was a young woman girl named 33rella. 33rella had 11 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters named Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Irina, Tilly, Hallie, Ruby, Erin, and Emily. All 11 of them made fun of 33rella and made her do all the chores. 33, wench! Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all, said Tasha to Emily all together. One day, the king of Troubleville's messenger arrives and says, "Hear ye, hear ye! The king of Troubleville's royal majesty is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Treasure Toppling." "Can I come?" asked 33rella. But she is not welcome. Her ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters are. "He's going to marry me," said Tasha, the oldest stepsister. But her younger stepsisters disagreed. They even tear 33rella's dress. And her best party dress. Later, 33rella is so sad, distraught, and upset about not going to the ball, marrying Prince Treasure Toppling. Suddenly, her fairy godmother arrives and comforts her. 33rella, there now, my dear 33rella, she said. "I'll fix everything for you." She then waves her magic wand. Because of that, 33rella's chores are all done. But her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, "33rella, my dear, go fetch me a pumpkin and some ice." Luckily, 33rella has 33 pumpkins and 66 mice. 33rella fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 33 pumpkins into a handsome coach, the 66 mice into horses, and fixes 33rella's torn dress It makes it bigger and better. 33rella said, I've never seen such a Trigetabletastic gown. And get a load of my glass slippers, fairy godmother. How can I ever thank you enough? And climbed into the coach. 33rella's fairy godmother said, well, you can't, but have fun, 33rella, my dear. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will change back to the way it was before. Anne gave her a clock to tell her what time it is. And so, 33rella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, the king of Troubleville, who is very kind, wise, etc., says, good evening, everyone. My son, Prince Trigetupling, was wondering who he should marry. Isn't that right, son? In which Prince Trigetupling responds, yes, father. Suddenly, 33rella arrived at the ball just in time. He's walking towards me, say Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Irina, Hallie, Ruby, Aaron, and Emily all together. But Prince Trigetupling is not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 33rella. Prince Trigetupling then says, may I have this dance? In which 33rella responds, I would be delighted. And so 33rella and Prince Trigetupling dance happily together. But later, 33rella checks her clock, and it's almost midnight. So she scurried out of the ball, and she was running so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers. Prince Trigetupling was really worried that he might never see 33rella again. The king of Troubleville comforts him by saying, there now, son. I think we'll be able to find 33rella, my dear daughter-in-law. And so, the king of Troubleville and Prince Trigetupling began their journey all around Troubleville to find 33rella and brought the glass slipper she lost with them. By the time they arrived, they knock on the door of the house where 33rella and her 11 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters lived. But instead of 33rella, they find her ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters, Tasha and Emily. Prince Trigetupling then said, ladies, my father, the king of Troubleville, and I have a favor to ask. Can any of you try on this glass slipper? Tasha is first, but her foot is too big. Hilda is next, but her foot is too small. Nonsense! It fits! She said. The rest did the same, but none of their feet are the right size. Suddenly, the king of Troubleville and Prince Trigetupling noticed 33rella singing. Your Majesty and Prince Trigetupling, is that you guys? She hollered and excited. The glass slipper fits! And 33rella and the king of Troubleville and Prince Trigetupling lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story, Andrews Doers. And I've been debating on making the sequels. So if you want to see maybe someday 33rella 2, 33 Wishes Come True, something like that. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. Buy our merchandise at AndrewDoesEverything.com. Take care. Bye. And now, Andrew's Doers. Andrew Knows Everything proudly presents for the 3,400 episode special 34rella. It is based on the story of Cinderella with a bit of a twist. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, in a faraway land named Quadrogen Tumblingham, there was a young girl named 34 Arella had 10 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters named Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Yadina, Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ruby. All 10 of them made fun of 34 and made her do all the chores. 34, wench! Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all! Said Tasha and Ruby all together. One day, the king of Quadrogen Tumblinham's messenger arrives and says, Hear ye, hear ye! The king of Quadrogen Tumblingham, his royal majesty, is going to throw a ball. And whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Quadrogen Tumbling. Can I call him? Asked 34 But she's not welcome. Her ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters are. He's going to marry me, said Tasha, the oldest sister. But her younger sisters disagree. They tear 34 dress. Later, 34 is so sad, distraught, and upset about not going to the ball and marrying a Prince Quadrogen Tumbling. Suddenly, her fairy godmother arrives and comforts 34 There now, my dear 34 she said, I'll fix everything for you. Nobody wants you. She then waved her magic wand. Because of that, 34 chores are all done. But her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, 34 go fetch me a pumpkin and some mice. Luckily, 34 has 34 pumpkins and some 68 mice. 34's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 34 pumpkins into a handsome coach, the 68 mice into horses, and fixes 34's now torn dress and makes it bigger and better. 34 said, I've never seen such a Quadrogen Tumbletastic gown! And get a load of my glass slippers! Fairy godmother, how can I ever thank you enough? And climbed into the coach. 34's fairy godmother said, Well, you can't. But have fun, 34 my dear, but I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will change back to the way it was before. And gave her a clock to tell her what time it is. And so, 34 accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, the king of Quadrogen Tumblingham says, Good evening, everybody. Prince Quadrogen Tumbling was already who to marry. Isn't that right, son? To which Prince Quadrogen Tumbling says, Yes, father. Suddenly, 34 arrives at the ball just in time. He's walking towards me, said Tasha, Hilda, Isabella, Ramona, Tanya, Yadina, Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, Ruby all together. But Prince Quadrogen Tumbling is not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 34 Prince Quadrogen Tumbling then says, May I have the stance? In which 34 responds, I would be delighted. And so 34 and Prince Quadrogen Tumbling dance happily together. But later, 34 checks her clock and it's almost midnight! So she scurried out of the ball. And she was running so fast that she lost both of her glass slippers. Prince Quadrogen Tumbling was really worried that he might never see 34 again. The king of Quadrogen Tumblingham comforts him by saying, There now, son. I think we'll be able to find my dear daughter-in-law, 34 And so, the king of Quadrogen Tumblingham and Prince Quadrogen Tumbling began their journey all around the neighborhood to find 34 and brought the 2 glass slippers she lost with them. By the time they arrived, Prince Quadratridentally knocks on the door of the house where 34ella and her 10 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters lived. But instead of 34ella, they find Tasha to Ramona. Prince Quadratridentally then says, "Ladies, my father, the king of Quadratridentally and I have a favor to ask. Can anyone try on these glass slippers? Tasha is first, but her feet are too big. Hilda is next, but her feet are too small." "Nonsense! They fit!" she said. The rest did the same, but none of the feet are the right size either. Suddenly, the king of Quadratridentally and Prince Quadratridentally notice 34ella's singing, "Your Majesty," and Prince Quadratridentally. "Is that you guys?" she hollered excitedly. "My dear daughter-in-law, we found you! Will you marry Prince Quadratridentally?" To which 34ella overjoys, "Yes!" And the glass slippers fit. And then 34ella, the king of Quadratridentally and Prince Quadratridentally lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story for the 3,400 episode special. And I bet you're going to love some sequels. And, I bet you're going to also love 35erella for the 3,500 special. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and introduce everything. Buy our merchandise at introduceeverything.com. Take care. Bye. Andrew's Doers, Andrew Knows Everything, proudly presents 43rella. It is based on the story of Cinderella. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there was a young girl named 43rella. 43rella had 10 ugly, mean stepsisters named Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Hannah, Rosie, and the twins Erin and Emily. Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, and Emily made 43rella do all the chores. "Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all," said Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, and Emily all together. One day, the king of Quadratridentallingham's messenger said, "Hear ye, hear ye! The king of Quadratridentallingham's is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Quadratridentally." But 43rella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. They then argue over who will Prince Quadratridentally marry. Later, 43rella is so sad that she can't go to the ball and marry Prince Quadratridentally. Suddenly, her fairy godmother asks her what's wrong by saying, "Why are you crying, 43rella?" 43rella responds, "I can't go to the ball and marry Prince Quadratridentally." 43rella's fairy godmother said, "I can help with a bit of magic," and waved her magic wand. Because of that, all 43rella's chores are all done, but her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, "43rella, go fetch me a pumpkin." Luckily, 43rella has 43 pumpkins. 43rella's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 43rella's 43 pumpkins into a handsome coach drawn by 86 strong horses And then 43 ripped clothes into a gown and crown. 43 said, I've never seen such a quadrigentastic gown. And get a lot of my glass slippers. How can I ever thank you enough? Her fairy godmother said, well, you can't. But have fun, 43. But I would warn you. Return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will change back to the way it was before. 43 accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince Quadrigentabling was wondering who he should marry. Farah, Olivia, Ramona, Tanya, Yvonne, Tasha, Hannah, Rosie, Erin, Emily all say together, he's walking towards me! But he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 43 Prince Trey, Quadrigentabling then said, may I have this dance? 43 responds, I would be delighted! Prince Trey, Quadrigentabling, and 43 danced happily together. But later, 43 realized it's almost midnight, so she scurried out of the ball, and she was running so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers. Prince Trey Quadrigentabling was so worried that he might never see 43 again, so he traveled all around on a train or Quadrigentabling to find her and brought the glass slipper with him. By the time he arrives, he knocks on the door of the house where 43 and her stepsisters lived. But instead of 43, Prince Trey Quadrigentabling finds her stepsisters. He then said, ladies, I have a favor to ask. Can any of you draw on this glass slipper? Farah was first, but her foot is too big. Olivia's next, but her foot is too small. The rest did the same, but none of the feet were the right size. Suddenly, Prince Trey Quadrigentabling notices 43 singing. 43 gets so excited because she's happy to have Prince Trey Quadrigentabling back. And Prince Trey Quadrigentabling doesn't have to put the glass slipper back on her foot because it's so uncomfortable. Prince Trey Quadrigentabling and 43 then danced happily ever after. The end. And just viewers, if you want to see some sequels, something like that, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. And buy our merchandise. Take care. Bye. And now, Andrew Does Everything proudly presents 44. It is based on the story of Cinderella with a plot twist. Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there was a young adult girl named 44. 44 had 9 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters named Farah, Ophelia, Ramona, Tanya, Yadina, Fiona, Olivia, Ursula, and Reina. All of them constantly made fun of 44 and made her do all the chores. 44 wench! Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all! Said the ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters all together. One day, the king of Quadrigentabling messenger arrives and says, hear ye, hear ye! The king of Quadrigentabling, his royal, kind, wise, bold majesty is going to throw a ball. And whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Quadrigentabling. Can I come? asked 44. But she's not welcome. Her ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters are. He's going to marry me, said Farah, the oldest stepsister, but her younger sisters disagree. They even tear 44rella's best party dress. Later, 44rella is so sad, distraught, and upset about not going to the ball and marrying Prince Quadricartridge Toppling. Suddenly, her fairy godmother arrives and comes with 44rella. There, now my dear 44rella, she said, I'll fix everything for you. No one will know it's you. She then waves her magic wand. Because of that, 44rella's chores are done. But her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, 44rella, go fetch me a pumpkin and some mice. Luckily, 44rella has 44 pumpkins and 88 mice. 44rella's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 44 pumpkins into a handsome coach, the 88 mice into horses, fixes 44rella's now torn dress, and makes it bigger and better. 44rella said, I've never seen such a quadric-tastic gown! And get a load of my glass slippers! Fairy godmother, how can I ever thank you enough? 44rella then inclined into the coach. 44rella's fairy godmother said, well, 44rella, my dear, you can't. But have fun. But I will warn you, return home before midnight, where the spell will be broken and everything will change back to normal. And give her a clock to tell her what time it is. And so, 44rella accepts the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, the king at Quadric Tumlingham says, good evening, everyone. Prince Quadric Tumlingham was wondering who he should marry. Isn't that right, son? To which Prince Quadric Tumlingham responds, yes, father. Suddenly, 44rella arrived at the ball just in time. He's walking towards me, said Farah, Olivia, Ophelia, Ramona, Tanya, Irina, Fiona, Olivia, Ursula, and Reina all together. But Prince Quadric Toppling is not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards 44rella. May I have this dance? He then says, in which 44rella says, I was delighted. And so, 44rella and Prince Quadric Toppling dance happily together. But later, 44rella checks her clock and it's almost midnight. So she scurried out of the ball and she was running so fast that she lost both her glass slippers. Prince Quadric Toppling was really worried that he might never see 44rella again. The king of Quadric Tumlingham comforted by saying, There, now, son, I think we'll be able to find 44rella, my dear daughter-in-law. And so, the king of Quadric Tumlingham and Prince Quadric Toppling began their journey all around Quadric Tumlingham to find 44rella, who captured Prince Quadric Tumling's heart and brought the glass slippers she lost with them. By the time they arrived, Prince Quadric Tumbling knocks on the door of the house where 44rella and her 9 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters lived. But instead of 44rella, they find Farah Terena. He then says, ladies, my father, the king of Quadric Tumlingham, and I have a favor to ask. Can any of you try on these glass slippers? And Farah is first, but her foot is too big. Ophelia is next, but her foot is too small. Nonsense! It fits! She said. The rest did the same, but none of their feet are the right size. Suddenly, the king of Quadric Tumlingham and Prince Quadric Toppling known as 44ella's sweet singing. Your Majesty and Prince Quadric Tumbling, is that you guys? She heard excitedly. My dear daughter-in-law, 44ella, we found you! And the glass slippers fit, and 44ella, the king of Quadric Tumbling, and Prince Quadric Tumbling lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story, Andrew Stewards. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Knows Everything, and buy our merchandise at andrewknowseverything.com. Take care. Bye.